Welcome everyone to our podcast. Today, we're sitting with partners in school nutrition, diving into actionable inspiration to provide you not only ideas, but strategies for success. I'm your host, Maureen Pisanick, and I'm thrilled to explore this topic with you and with some of our school nutrition friends. Wow. You know what? It's been a couple months since I've had this wonderful friend of mine in the studio for podcasting, but I wanted her back because she has so much fun things to share. We know that protein is important. We know that nutrition and breakfast is a hot topic, and we know that we want to help you tell everyone about how important the changes you're doing with high protein breakfasts, including dairy, are. And so I am thrilled to have Jan Diamond back in studio with me. I think last time we ended by saying we could talk about this forever. So, hey, I welcomed you back.
Right. It's great to be back.
It is so cool.
It's always fun talking to Maureen. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you, of course, always to American Dairy Mideast and all that you do to continue to sponsor the education, because that's where it starts. And one of the things that we talk about is it's not nutrition unless the kids eat it. And so we are here to talk about these little nutrition bites as we try new things on our school menu. Really, the focus is shifting, right? We know that there's a moving needle to reduce sugar in breakfast, and we know that there are opportunities for us to think about powering up with protein, both from a good nutrition fueling standpoint. But we always start with bios. I've stopped doing that because I think I'm approaching this big birthday, and for me, it's like just makes me feel really old to talk about all of my biography. But one of the things I'm challenging is these fun facts. So I know a lot about you. We just talked about dyeing your doodles with Jennifer, Chef Jen. But one of the things I'm curious for you to share, do many people know like the Jan before Joey? I guess I'll call it before you were a mom and just,
DJ before Joey.
Yeah, before Joey. Talk to me about this marathon woman that, I know we took some power walks in the metro parks together as
endurance junkie. Endurance junkie.
Yeah, we have done some power walks together just for fun. That's our moving meetings. Remember back in the day?
Back in the day.
So tell me a little bit about, something about fueling endurance. So give us a little fun fact about you.
Well, I got off the couch way back when our company was trying to promote chocolate milk as the perfect refuel beverage. And they had a partnership with the Ohio Athletic Association. And so one of the promotional events was to go to the Arnold show that was in Columbus that happens every year. And they had an event called the Arnold Pump and Run, where you had to run a 5K and lift something. So I'm like, okay, I'll do this. And at the time we had some young 20 boppers on the staff, and one was a professional football player. Another one was like, she swam in college. And so I'm like, well, I want to, keep up with the 20 boppers. So we all got together and we all participated in the Arnold Pump and Run. So we ran a 5K and lifted some weights, and I actually outbeat the 20 boppers in my score. Did. And so it kept on going. So I'm like, okay, well, what else can I do? I want to do a triathlon. And so I didn't know how to swim. So I was 30 something, did not know how to swim.
Well, that's quite the challenge.
So I taught myself how to swim. I did a sprint triathlon, and then I'm like, that wasn't too bad. I'll try another one and another one and another one. Well, let's stretch to a half marathon. And after a half marathon, I'm like, why not a marathon? And so it just so happened, there was a Chicago Marathon going on, but it was in conjunction with another one of our partners. We had a fundraise to be a part of it. And I fundraised to be a part of it. I think I got like $2,000 that went right into charity.
Right.
And ran the marathon, and, so I literally ran for milk. So, and I refueled with chocolate milk every time. I lived the message. I did, I never had injuries. I never had knock on wood. I mean, a little different now. I'm a little older, but I didn't have any injuries. I took everything easy. I didn't say what it was that I didn't compete. I participated. So I didn't care about I never cared about, what my,
time
was or anything. My goal was to survive, finish without injury. And that was my only goal. And it was actually a healthy diet that included dairy that helped make it work.
I love that.
So.
And I love that. And it's such a good introduction to what I want to talk about today, because I think that, first of all, we know dairy sometimes gets a bad rap, right? But we also know that schools are their own best kept secret sometimes. And so when you are innovating on your menu and you're trying some of these cool smart swap recipes we just talked about that are dairy forward, and really talking about, hey, don't worry about what you're taking off your breakfast menu to reduce its sugar. Tell the story of what you're adding and why it's important and what it can do. And so for me, protein favorites that fuel our meat alternative category in breakfast, dairy shines. Dairy really shines there. And I feel like anyone who listens to this podcast, my goal really is a short conversation on what they can do to empower themselves to move the needle a bit. And so what are your top messages? I don't know, 3 or so, where why dairy has been such an important place on the tray, and is specifically, now more so than ever as we tell this breakfast story, which we should all be saying and telling people.
Yeah, good question. Like, why dairy? Like, why is it so important? Why now?
Right.
And it's been on the tray for decades, so we all know that. But reasonably so, it's a very nutrient-packaged beverage or food item. And tons of nutrients, 13 essential nutrients, 3 of which, our USDA has said, hey, our kids are a little lacking in these 3 of these specific nutrients, which is calcium, vitamin D, and potassium. And milk is the perfect source for those nutrients. So you have this nutrient-packed beverage, food, whatever, milk, cheese, or yogurt, whatever you're using, it's so nutrient-packed and so good for our kids' bodies, our growing kids' bodies. They're constantly growing, and they need those nutrients for their bones, their growing muscles, their brain development, their immune system. It is just nutrient-packaged. So you want that dairy always on your menu so you can nourish your those little bodies, and keep them healthy so they can learn and then move. So yeah, dairy's important, and you keep it on there. And if you are a mom, you're like, oh, I don't know, should I give my kids some milk for breakfast? Yes, the answer is yes, because it's so nutrient packed.
I love that. Okay, so
that's one message.
Yeah, the nutrition bite. Okay, so here are some nutrition bite highlights there. So you're talking about, we're now entering in Ohio the season of gray. We're recording this right before winter comes, right? We just moved our clocks back, so everybody's spending a little more time in the darkness. And vitamin D deficiency is a big relevant issue in our state, in the Midwest in general, and really in winter in general. Folks start looking at like, hey, do I need a vitamin D supplement? Well, not if you're drinking enough milk. And so that's a really good nutrition bite. We talk about having menu transparency and using your messaging both in the cafeteria to be an extension of the classroom, but on your, we help schools do digital menus. And so there's a lot of real estate on their menu to not only show what's on the meal, but why it's on the meal. And I love the idea of highlighting like vitamin D during the winter for that very reason.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. In fact, I think I'll do that next time I'm back on my desk when I'm visiting. Usually when I visit a school, I look at their menu. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's room in the menu here for a little plug of why you have the milk and the yogurt on your menu. I should probably help those food service directors get that message up there. So thank you for that tidbit.
I love that. Yeah. Well, you guys also create some really cool turnkey graphics. So like schools that are like, I don't know how to make it look pretty. You do. You have a lot of resources. So talk about some other ideas. What other messaging? I know you said that was one.
Yeah. So the nutrient package right there. The other is how versatile yogurt is. And we talked about this in our last talk session. It is so versatile. Every time I go to a cafeteria and I'm making one of our recipes, either from Smart Swap or whatever the recipe is that the cafeteria wants to try, it never fails for forgetting something, an ingredient, or or not enough, or it's something, or we can't find the right measuring tool. It was one of those things. And when you're making like a smoothie, like the other day, I was at Diana Hill's, St. Benedictine, and we were making the chocolate chip smoothie. And she says, okay, I just have the 16 ounces of the chocolate chips. And I'm like, all right. So I had to figure out what is my batch going to look like? I only have 16 ounces, each. Luckily, the math is going to be easy because the 16 servings only requires 4 ounces of chocolate chips. I'm like, great. We're just, we're going to multiply this and the matches, we can make this work. But that happens all the time.
Sure.
The next recipe we're going to try is, let me go back to the versatility. So we were able to make the chocolate chip smoothie, which actually is just bananas, vanilla yogurt, and chocolate chips with a little bit of spinach to make it green. Yeah. You mix that all up. In fact, she did freeze some. So I'm interested to talk to her about how they froze, because you got to experiment on these things.
Absolutely.
But yogurt is so versatile. You can do that. Like if you make too much, freeze it, and then serve it the next week. Or, you have vanilla yogurt and you were going to make, the apple pie smoothie and you don't have apples. Shoot, I don't have apple. Number 10 can of apples. What was I thinking? I only have the oranges. No worries. Just put the oranges in there instead. Because if you have 6 quarts of pureed anything, pureed fruit or vegetables and some juice, and 12 pounds of yogurt, you got 48 servings of smoothies. So that's how versatile it is. And if you only have plain yogurt and not vanilla yogurt, no worries. Just, add a little sweetness and, add a little vanilla, and then you're ready to go. That's how versatile yogurt can be, for example. And then for milk, we do have a variety of milk on our you can serve the fat-free, the 1% and the flavored milk. But when you serve the variety of milk and you offer choices, kids are going to choose more. And in the winter, you can heat that chocolate milk up and make hot chocolate. Put a flavor station of some cinnamon right next to it and some nutmeg, and you've got a flavor station with your hot chocolate milk that it could be a component of your reimbursable meal. So the versatility of dairy is amazing. And you never run out of ideas. And if you're missing an ingredient or something, you can just improvise, because that's how flexible dairy is. And you can still keep it on the menu. No matter what amount you have or which dairy product you have, you can still keep it on the menu and, serve. May not be what you plan to serve, but you can still serve a nutrient-rich food or beverage because you have dairy in the pantry.
Oh my gosh, I love the idea. I mean, we talked about vitamin D because of the cold winter months, but boy, would hot chocolate, warmed hot chocolate milk bring in the business for breakfast. So we talk about looking at smart ideas to increase breakfast participation, and I think you just hit the nail on the head with that one. So simple. We're serving hot chocolate this morning, and how many more kids might come into your breakfast line if you're looking to increase your breakfast participation?
Yeah, I've had schools invite me to come serve hot chocolate because the traffic is too high.
Oh gosh,
they can't accommodate. They don't have enough labor that day, and they know they advertise hot chocolate. And so if I'm local, I'll do it. Actually, I'll serve hot chocolate. And then usually the administration staff comes too. It's an opportunity to get the administrators to the cafeteria and socialize with the kids, and it's a great time just by heating up your chocolate milk.
I know, simple, not a lot of work.
Not a lot of work at all.
You can definitely phone a friend and get those administrators to come down and help
serve and yes. So.
Such a good feel good, making the cafeteria an extension of the classroom, but also just a warm community. Like it's such a nice way. Most administrators will stop and when the kids are coming in and want to say good morning anyway. So invite them down to serve with you. I love that idea.
Right.
I love that idea. So we talk about the reduction of sugar and how dairy plays a role. You talked about some of the fun ways we've seen dairy used with parfaits and yogurts. I would just use an example. A simple mix of Greek yogurt into a marinara sauce makes a darn good blush sauce. If you're looking at changing up your pasta bar and incorporating dairy forward, higher protein, savory items. I know that American Dairy has been thinking about savory with yogurt. Give us some insights. I mean, I think when you're thinking about reducing sugar and higher protein, I love the idea of challenging our schools to think differently about what dairy can be that's not sweet.
Yeah, right. And we're calling them savory parfaits right now, but we might want to call them entree dips. You might want to change the name up, whatever meets your culture in your school. And so we've had traditional savory parfaits, which was the buffalo chicken parfait and the Fiesta parfait. So basically, you're taking yogurt, you're putting some taco seasoning in it, and then you're laying it with the black beans and the lettuce and the tomatoes and top it with some cheese, and you have a savory parfait. It tastes like one of those dips you get at a tailgate party. Or the buffalo chicken, the same concept. Now you're flavoring it with that red hot or sriracha type sauce, and you serve it with celery, and again serve it with lettuce and tomatoes, and again it's kind of buffalo chicken as well, and it's that buffalo chicken dip that you would again get at a tailgate party. So now we're exploring into like Greek, Mediterranean,
tzatziki.
Right. What was the other? The Mediterranean, the Greek, and there's one. Oh, the Italian, like an Italian. Jen. I don't know if you touched on it with Jen, but she was one of those leaders in trying to figure out what flavor profiles are going to be great for kids, and she'd worked with kids to come up with these ideas. So one of the great things about when you have plain yogurt, not only can you go sweet, you can go savory. And think about a savory parfait. We have tested the savory parfaits on many venues. In fact, one of my favorite stories is we were, I think, at ASBO in Columbus, and we were giving it to the board members, that were coming by. But there's always a kid component in those events. It was the kids that were coming back second and third times just to get the samples of the Fiesta parfait in particular. So we know that the kids will eat it, and they'll eat it for breakfast. breakfast doesn't always have to be sweet.
Right.
And
In
so,
college, it was leftover pizza. So like, why can't we? Why can't we start younger?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
I love that you said the student factor, because I think some of our schools, when we talk about what we name it or try to get something fun going on, if Savory Parfait isn't your call, dip and go sounds.
There you go.
Your dip and go, grab and go section. So like many of our schools have a nice grab and go bistro box. They've called it in the past, something that really mimics something that's you can grab and carry, get out of the lunch line fast. So I love a good dip and go. We should maybe think about a whole dip and go challenge and create some opportunities, cool packaging, and obviously we need to give the kids what they want. So get some of those things that they can use with the nacho chips or the specific whatever they want to dip it in, some cool veggies cut up certain ways. Perfect. It challenges us as menu creators and coaches to think about naming it something that's, kid forward.
Name it 6-7. 6-7. Who knows what it is? They don't care. It's going to be silly, right? You can't say that anymore. I think it's 4-1 now or 41. No, 41. I'm going to get it wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. I'm a middle school mom, so I'm trying to it's like a foreign language these days. But I love that idea and bringing kids into it. So I know we did talk with Chef Jen about bringing kids into what do they want. And she said, if, you don't give them a voice, that's not the way of the world, don't work, she used a great quote and I'm going to butcher it, but it was basically just that, like, give them a voice, let us have input into it, and it'll be more successful. So I love that. I know that we talked about you having, the vitamin D resource that if a school has a transparent menu, they could put it up there. A lot of our schools, I love the fact that we are an academic platform and we really can embrace that as making the cafeteria an extension of the classroom. If a school were to ask for resources relative to research on milk or resources that help meet dietary guidelines for children and why they're such vital importance and having some facts, sometimes it's like that old fact checker, why is this important? It's not because I say so or because, we're just promoting it. There's a lot of research. Where could schools find some good resources if they had a community that was more cynical or they just want to be, make that cafeteria the extension of the classroom? Yeah.
So I'm going to direct you to our website, the American Dairy Association Mideast, which is drink-milk.com. So on that website, there's a plethora of articles and research about the nutrition of dairy and why dairy is so important, not only at home, but on the school menu. And all that information is backed by USDA. Another resource is the National Dairy Council, which is our information kind of highlights what we do here locally, but the National Dairy Council's website as well will highlight what's nationally happening in the world of dairy, and backed with all kinds of research articles. And the best way to do this, and I did it last night just to see what would come up, is I put it in ChatGPT, give me information about why dairy is so important, and use drink-milk.com and the National Dairy Council. And it summed up like, oh yeah, that's right. I got to make sure I say that to Maureen tomorrow. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that story. Oh yeah. So, things like that. And not only that particular, I think ChatGPT is my best secretary, is you can always then, it gets you a starting point, but use the American Dairy Association as a resource. You can reach out to any one of our our school marketing managers and say, I have this question. I have this problem. I have this, whatever that is. Can you help me? We can not only connect you with the resources, but we have registered dietitians on staff too that can also help answer that question. And we also have a wonderful communication department that can help navigate, a certain tricky situation that you need to get around, if you will, or help address. And so use the resources of American Dairy Association Mideast and simply go to our website, drink-milk.com. You can connect with me and any one of our school marketing managers or a registered dietitian and send in a reference. I get references from our communications, say, hey, Jan, can you take care of this? This is in your territory, and weekly and monthly. And so, use that as a resource, or drink-milk.com as a resource. Plenty of people right there at your fingertips, right here in Ohio. And we're connected with dairy farmers. We work for dairy farmers. So on the website, not only will you get that information about how healthy dairy is for you and recipes about dairy, but you can actually visit virtually, if you will, our dairy farmers and meet the dairy farmers of Ohio. There's almost a story almost every farmer we have, family-owned farm that we have on our website. So you can actually see where your milk comes from. Because as you know, most of our milk is within hours of the school that the kids are attending.
Hyper-local.
Hyper-local. Yeah, I love that term.
I love it.
Hyper-local.
Hyper-local.
Hyper-fresh.
I love that. And, there's no doubt you show up in the cafeteria, you put on the ball cap, you serve the smoothies. But one thing you just said I want schools to know is if you do have a challenging conversation with a PTA group or a community group, tap into the resources that are right here. Yeah. Not only for information to place on your district's school nutrition website page, but again, our My School menus, we can help fill that with information, good information.
Yes.
And again, there's lots of research that just shows how important and why some of these shifts that are protein forward are going to really help us tell our story, specifically as the legislation moves forward with reduced sugar in a way that doesn't seem restrictive or prohibitive, but what we can provide that is nutritive and really supporting some really solid movement in school nutrition to really innovate around what we can do to really nourish our school body, our school, the whole school community, and really tell them that and let them own that and be proud of that and have a voice in that as a student, that they really want to be able to. And I think we've done this together now. Again, we talk about our bios and years and years and years. It was a fun story about the refuel with chocolate milk. I mean, we started at the top of the hour saying you lived it. You did the marathon. You drank the chocolate milk. That was a really cool time. I remember being a food service director. You came in, we talked with, at the time it was the Hudson swim team, and we started a refuel with chocolate milk program in the morning, which increased my breakfast participation because the kiddos were swimming in the morning. And so we not only gave them that refuel of chocolate milk to get their day started so they could get into the classroom and learn, but we started their day off with the opportunity to move their body and then fuel themselves, then learn. And that was something as a young dietitian director, I needed to tag you in to help me. I mean, that was a lot of messaging and organization. And, you brought in our cool coolers and we figured out the logistics. And so I think one of the things, I can confidently say is I've walked this as a director and walked alongside you in this career of really just, tap into the supports because they are there. And American Dairy Mideast has always been such a willing and able partner to really make it happen. And so for that, for my career, I thank you, but also for those listening, please don't hesitate. If you have an idea and you feel like you just can't execute it, there's so many people. Team Pisanick has your back. American Dairy Mideast has your back. Let's make this happen for kids. I love this.
Right. It's interesting. Joey was in Runners Club last year. They have a special program at his school, Falls Lennox in Olmsted Falls, where the third graders from March to May, the volunteer staff come together and teach the kids character lessons as well as how to basically run a 5K. And these are third graders. I don't remember how many third graders are at Falls Lennox, but there were like 98 third graders that would meet twice a week for Runners Club and run. So one of the special events at the end of Runners Club is that they all run a 5K together around the neighborhood. So we made it a little special. A PTA mom met with the food manager, Sam Chin, and Stacey Gray, who was the manager there at Falls Lennox, and we made smoothies for the kids afterwards. We made the purple cow smoothie.
I love it.
Which is the strawberry yogurt, grape juice, and blueberries. And the kids loved it. They absolutely loved it. So the one of the things I wanted to, now that I am a mom, I am on the other side before you're like in marketing and you're with a company, but oh gosh, now I have a kid. What can I do as a PTA mom or a room mom or, just a volunteer in schools and making smoothies for kids? It doesn't have to be Runners Club. It could be any, and you're giving them that healthy after school snack. If you work with your manager, maybe not every cafeteria manager is going to be available like Mrs. Gray was at Falls Lennox and as open as Mr. Chin at Falls Lennox, but why not touch base with the food service director and the cafeteria manager and say, hey, you know what? I would like to make a smoothie for kids for an after school activity. And, it requires for every 48 servings, 12 pounds of vanilla yogurt, 6 quarts of some kind of pureed fruit, and 48 cups, and you got yourself a smoothie. Then I took it one step further. Because they had another 5K that the Runners Club was doing. I'm like, okay, because I paid for it from my own money. Because, I just want to see how this works. And then I actually wrote letters to the local grocery stores and said, this is what I'm doing. This is who we are as a PTA volunteer mom of my school. And, we're this club is about building character, and would you like to be part of the community? And if so, we, obviously we'll give you kudos at the smoothie station. Sure enough, I got all the ingredients donated between our two local stores, our two local grocery stores.
Brilliant.
And then we took pictures of the kids, with the logos of those stores and sent them a nice little thank you letter. But then, so I wasn't paying it out of my, which is really economical. You're talking about 75 cents to $1 a smoothie. That's everything from ingredients to cups. So it's not that much. But I wasn't paying for that. And it can be done. A quick donation letter to bring in the community. You're working with your food staff, and then you're promoting nutrition to the kids.
I love it.
They loved it. And if kids still come to my house, and two of them actually will come into the house and say, "I want a smoothie."
I love it.
And so they'll put their smoothie request in.
The smoothie mom. I love it. And I also love that call to action that, if you're prohibited by budget, please don't stop there. And there are generous communities that really will support good activities and good promotion for schools. We end always, and I asked you last time, so I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. So last time I asked you what's your favorite lunch. Now that you're working as a PTA mom and you have a little Joey, a sweet boy, third grader? Fourth grader now. Fourth grader now. Yeah. So fourth grader, what is Joey's favorite lunch, and how do you promote that as a mom?
Oh, fun. His favorite lunch would be is breakfast for lunch.
Okay.
Yeah, breakfast for lunch. And I got another story if you have time.
Yeah, please.
Right. And I made eggs for Joey one morning at home, nice scrambled eggs. They were beautiful and fluffy and all that. He's eating them and he says, "Mom, the eggs at school are better." And I'm like, "They are they? Tell me more." And so he told me what, they were their egg patty. It comes in a solid piece. And, I'm like, okay. Well, the good thing I know the food service director. I sent him an email. I think my computer sits on my countertop. And he goes, "Yeah, he sent me the GFS, information on it. And sure enough, we now have a box of those egg patties in our refrigerator, and he's eating that on the way to school every day.
I love it.
Which I could not get this. He's a picky eater. So, which I'm glad you're going to be talking to him, because he's such a picky eater. He's so picky. Like what happened last week is totally different what he's going to eat this week. And he's still at 10. Now, the other friends he has are not. They love coming to the house. They actually put their smoothie order in or tell my husband what they want for dinner. But Joey will be the biggest critique of it all. So one of the brunch for the brunch for lunch is one of his favorite, and of course pizza.
I love it.
Pizza.
I love it.
They love pizza.
I love it. Well, as always, we could go on and on forever. I love your stories. I love how connected we are, both on the professional and personal, raising moms together and doing all of that. We appreciate all of this, and I really, again, want to just thank you. Go to that website.
Drink-milk.com.
Go to that website. Know that you have a supportive village to get your efforts handled and supported in schools. Thank you again so much for your sponsorship today and your time. As always, we just love this conversation. And you.
Yeah. We appreciate Pisanick Partners. We love the work you do for decades now.
Right.
Everything you guys do is awesome, and you're very there for the kiddos and helping them. So we appreciate you.
Thank you, dear.
All right. Thank you.